And I hold on a minute just for a second. This is a paradigm shift because it used to be the other way around. But here we're having a teacher that doesn't know something about computer that is openly and clearly say, no, you know what, on Monday I will find my student that will help me out. I think this is some of the things that he was talking about. I think we are very important. The other thing that he mentioned that at the end is about the United Nations. The Charter of the United Nations is something that's very, very important. And it stated, we the people of the world. It doesn't say that we the countries of the world or we the districts of the world, but we the people. Even though it's a member state organization, they understood that their role, their whole existence was only valid if they were aspiring to represent all of us. And as such, we need to make sure that they're actually representing us, not countries. So that's, I think, are we ready for Bangladesh? Okay, so I turn it over to you.
Thank you. Welcome to the presentation. I know we all are very tired, so let's, I think, sing a song together. We shall overcome. Let's sing together. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome one day. Thank you. Today I'm talking about Bangladesh. Thank you, Dr. Su, for giving me opportunity. Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kazi, and I'm a graduate student at NYT. And I have with me Tarek. He's a PhD fellow at George Mason University. Our presentation is about globalization to SDG-4. The new word, it's like from global to local. Okay, Bangladesh is a very small country. It's about like just like 10,000 square miles, like bigger than Virginia. Can you believe it? Yeah, it's a very small, but it has around 170 million people. So let's have a look on a video. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah. Okay, I'm wearing the color of the flag of Bangladesh, like red with a green. Anyway,
Yeah, thank you. So we already told that like we are open to admissions. So Bangladesh is a small country, but the issues achieving SDG is not actually small. Like 10 minutes time is a really short time to tell all about the issues. So we'll probably skip some of the slides. But what we want to say, like the SDG-4, the quality education actually, it's ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. That's what we have learned for last 1 days and today. But we would like to say that this education, quality education in SDG is not confined to just goal 4 actually. This has been connected to some other targets as well. Because education is specifically mentioned in targets of the 5 goals, but also linked to almost all of the other SDGs in other way. Like, as you can see in the screen, like it has been connected with target 3.7, where it says like by 2030, ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive healthcare services, including for family planning, information, and education. So we have kind of education in target 5.6, target 8.6, target 12.8, and target 13.3. So to achieve SDG in a country like Bangladesh, we have a lot of issues. It is not only goal 4. So we have to go think beyond that actually. So I can just easily talk about, like we spoke about the targets. If you can look at the booklet we have provided you, at the end of it, there are the targets. There are the targets mentioned about this goal. But we would actually look into the provisions of this goal 4, where it says like at the 4.1, it talked about like 12 years of free, publicly funded, inclusive, equitable, quality primary and secondary education should be ensured for all without any discrimination. We actually tried to make our presentation in a way that you can come up with recommendation for Bangladesh, because we are really very much inspired by Michelle's yesterday's session, because she showed us how we can go with the UN format, like the MUN format, where you will learn about Bangladesh and you now learn about the shortcomings of Bangladesh, and you can give us recommendation from your end.
As you can see, some challenges extracted from the provisions of the education goal targets, like countries must ensure universal access to inclusive and equitable quality education and learning, leaving no one behind. But according to UNICEF 2015, Bangladesh has made good progress in primary school enrollment, yet more than 4 million children aged 6 to 10 years, 23% of the age group remained out of school in 2011. Of those children, 2 million, which is 11%, had never been to school. And some, 1.9 million, which is 10%, started schooling late, and about 2% were dropouts. The second one, civil society, teachers and educators, the private sector, communities, families, youth and children all have important roles in realizing their right to quality education. Youth population, 1/3 of the total population. The British Council did a survey where they found that almost 90% of the youth are eager to volunteer in the development of our country, but they do not get the opportunity to do so. Bangladesh can think about creating platform for youth and plan activities to achieve SDG provisions under Goal 4. Here we see we need to see the difference first: equality, equity, and reality. What is the equality? That everyone needs the same equal opportunity. What is equity? That who needs more? We need more things.
Personalized.
It's like a personalized education. And what is reality?
So just quickly going with the difference between MDG and SDG, we did really well achieving MDG targets. But what happened to Bangladesh, like everyone thinks like it's very similar to MDG. We did well in MDG, so we'll achieve SDG with the same pace. But actually the situation is completely different. I just wanted to give you a brief about the difference, but I would skip this slide actually. Just this is the recommendation from our end. Actually, we gathered it from yesterday's meetings that we have to build a shared understanding at the country level, and shared understanding is the key to ensure buy-in from all stakeholders involving the development of the national education system in Bangladesh. And the other thing is assessing country readiness, which is very important because this includes assessing the policy, planning, monitoring, and management context of national education system in order to identify the gaps with SDG commitments and ambitions. And yeah, I mean, we are at the end of our slide. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can see like a link. You can just drop your questions. We can answer. I mean, 10 minutes time is a really short time for us to tell about things. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, as you heard from them, they really focus, they zero in on what's happening in Bangladesh, and again, we all know what was the mandate under the MGDs, and we are not talking about SGDs. And first, on my personal note, I think one of the successes of the SDGs would be the fact that the civil society is actually taking ownership of this and not just letting it to the hands of the government. I think that's so. We saw some. They also pointed out some statistics that make all of us cry because we all have the concept of leaving no child behind, and as long as we have that number, those millions of students that are not going to school, I think it's really important that we all do what we can to make sure that by 2030 we achieve these SDGs. I think the work that we do is going to bring us, especially the one that you clearly stated that we are here to working together. We need to work together because no one group or person has the answer. So now I'm going to turn over. We're going to hear from China. China, Dr. Liu, right?
Yes.
Yes. So we're going to hear, and China, I better say all the right thing because I just come back from China. And I've been in China all the time, so yeah. I go in China at least 6 times a year, so okay. Go.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I feel very lucky and honored to be here to attend this conference, and also I feel very grateful for Dr. Xu's help. Last year together with my business partner, we visited USA and we, went to NYIT to seek collaboration. And since then, I have been, communicating with Dr. Xu. And anyway, I'm very grateful for this opportunity. And also, I need to extend my gratitude to everyone here. I mean, from these 2 days activities, I've learned a lot from each one of you. Thank you. And my name is Liu Qiang. My English name is George. I have been George for about 20 years. So I feel very comfortable if you call me George or Liu, whatever. And my organization, my educational organization is named the Yanqing Elite Education. And according to, someone may know the history about a university, that is Yanqing University. It was established in 1919 by American and British missionaries in Beijing. That university had a very short history. It lasted for only about 33 years, like that, because it was just reformed in 1952. But with despite the very short history of this university, it played a very vital role in the modernization of China, and it has cultivated a lot of important people during that time. Anyway, why I choose Yanqing Education as the name of my organization? Because I graduated from Peking University, and Peking University is located on the exact campus of Yanqing University, and I have a lot of American friends. So when I started this organization in 2013, I used this name. Anyway, we do things like we developed a kind of learning management system to help teachers and students to get access to high quality teaching resources. And also we have been doing teacher training programs since 2013. We collaborated with the Ministry of Education of China because they were at that time reforming the national curriculum for all the public schools, high schools like that. And they also want to have all the public high school teachers to be well informed about their ideas, about the standards, things like that. And so they also need a kind of independent third party to play some role in this, process. I mean, and since that time, I'm
so sorry.
make it more comfortable. And since that time, I myself started to learn about the complicated situations about education. For example, I learned to understand something from the perspective of policymakers. My friends from the Ministry of Education, they told me that sometimes, more often than not, they are kidnapped by the public, by the parents, the public opinion, whatever. I will give an example. People who visited the States, they know that students in USA they will they go home after at 3:30 or around that, right? And then some parents in China, they just protest. Why our kids, they work so hard? Just now, Dr. Wang from Taiwan said students there, they study till 8 p.m. I just do not want to mention, how many hours Chinese students need to study. I do not want to surprise you, astonish you. Parents protest. And then the Ministry of Education, they were, to some degree, in some sense, they were kidnapped. And they said, okay, we will reform. We will, let the kids go home after 3:30. And then something very, very difficult, very different from that, from that expectation happened. That is, other parents that protest because they need to work. It's very, very difficult for people in Beijing to afford not to work, right? Especially, for the couple, both of them need to work. Nobody to take care of their kids. And, it's very difficult to cover all the living expenses in Beijing. I think it's more expensive to buy an apartment in Beijing than it is to buy like a big house in, most of the places in the USA. Yeah, I'm not exaggerating, that's the reality. So they are protesting. I do not have the money to buy that kind of babysitting service, or to send my children to places to have some kind of after school activities. So it's very difficult, and a lot of things like this happen. And also something like more not so trivial, like this kind of thing. I will give another example. Is everybody is complaining about the equality of education or equality of opportunities that happens in China. For example, every year about 400 high school students they go to like Peking University and Tsinghua University. That is the top 2 universities. You may want to know that we have only about 1,000 universities that can award a better degree and above, right? Compared to more than 3,000 universities in states, we have very, we have fewer, and also we have much bigger population. So 400 high school students can go to Peking University or Tsinghua University in Beijing, but for like Shandong province, we have much bigger population than Beijing. Fewer than 200 students can go to Peking University or Tsinghua University. No matter how well you're doing in your in a study, or 2 minutes, okay. That is a kind of a quarter, from since a long time ago in the history of China, every province they got a quota for tier 1 universities like that. So anyway, but now it's a little bit different. Chinese government, they are spending a lot of money to reform, to improve the situation. We even provide scholarship for overseas students. For example, if there are students from Nigeria want to study in China, you can come to me. I can get you connected with Chinese universities. You get scholarship. And also for my organization, Yan Chinese Education, we are actively collaborating with educational institutes all over the world, especially in the States. For example, we are recruiting high quality English teachers to teach English in like tier 3 or tier 4 or less developed areas in China. Sorry, less developed areas of China. We want to provide a kind of exchange programs for people, for students, for teachers to learn about the culture, learn about the people. Anyway, we just, no matter it's the government or private organizations like mine, we try our best to contribute to education, to the society, to the world. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Liu. As you heard from him, there is we are talking about critical reflection from global to community, and it is well known. I remember actually having a conference. It was a UNESCO, we had a conference. Actually, I think it was at the UN a couple of years ago, organized by the US Federation, where we are actually contrasting the education system in China versus the educational system in the US, where in one area we have what critical thinking, more practical versus memorizing. There was some of these, and some of the challenges in Beijing, pollution, how expensive things are, some of the things that we talked about, but the solution, some of the ways that we could use cultural exchange in global to bring about some of these solutions, collaboration, cooperation. Goal number 17, which actually talk about all of us, coming together, partnership. It's not partnership. It's not just between country to country, but between non-state institutions. Is going to be vital for us to achieve that. So from there, we're now going to the first where life actually begins, right? We all know we are all Africans, right? That's where everything started, right? So I'm turning over to Dr. Ifem so that he can brief us on some of the things, some of the challenges that we may talk about from Africa.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming and for staying to see that today's or this afternoon's deliberations are going as planned. I wanted to say something. There is a way we used to say it in Africa. Maybe people still say it. If you have nothing to say, if you have nothing to talk about, and some people have spoken before it gets to your turn, you can simply say, earlier speakers have said what I wanted to say. So I will say I support them. But in this case, I must say that also, but I will make a few contributions. Earlier speakers have spoken almost everything I will be speaking now. And I want to refer to the hands-on exercise we had just before this panel was organized. I want to refer specifically to tables 4 and 5. The presentation as to the challenges we face Africa, but specifically Nigeria. I'm sure I have had the opportunity to travel to many African countries, and I have some experience what is happening on the ground in most of these countries. So when I speak of Nigeria, sometimes I will refer to, it means other countries, but if there's any specific reference to a given nation, I will mention it. So, we all know that no African nation is among the so-called superpowers, developed technologically, economically, even in human capital. But we sometimes are not as useless or worthless, because if you measure it by standards, we live good in Nigeria, we live well in Africa. But the problem we face mostly in Africa is prioritizing what we really need to have, what we have to do. Sometimes we pay very less attention to things that need to be done. And in these discussions, I want to really emphasize, not to repeat what people have said or to go into long theory, I want to emphasize a few concepts which, if reconceptualized, a few variables that, if properly, I will term them independent variables, actually. If properly conceptualized and presented, might be helpful in understanding and solving some of our challenges. Now, let me take poverty. Poor, P-O-O-R. We understand poverty as lack of money. And definitions of poverty in American research and some other research, and even with the SDG-4 itself. Let me read it to you. Poverty, global poverty, and poverty in all its forms, everywhere. So immediately you hear this, your mind jumps to the poor people who are sleeping on the streets, who have no shelter. This is where our mind goes. But I think it goes more than that. Government can be poor, not because they don't have money in their central banks, but because they don't have the brain. There's a poverty in their brain. They cannot formulate policies that address the needs of the people. Nigeria, for example, is not poor. If a senator in Nigeria can earn more than a senator in the United States, we are not poor. We have many senators, we have many politicians, we have many people, rich people. The richest man in Africa, I understand, is a Nigerian. So we have things that can help us develop the education sector. So the moment we begin to see poverty as not being only lack of money, it's not only lack of cash, we see poverty beyond that. Of course, it's an aspect of it, but we can see poverty because we do not do things that elevate the standard of living of people. So the poverty here I'm talking about goes beyond just people who grew up like the way I did, or who are now still below the $1 per day threshold. If you raise it to $5 as is stated in these documents, that will not really solve the problem. It becomes a fiction. It's a statistical number. It's just number people talk around tables, but they do not really apply to the facts of people's lives. So we have to reconceptualize, we really have to understand poverty and tackle it from top down. Educating, I don't mean education. That's the second concept I want to look at. We have too many ways of educating children, our children, or even we, the adults, the parents and teachers, educating ourselves. The advent of technology, the advent of social media, social this, social that, is also competing with the formal classroom, even the informal classroom. Recently, I was talking with my son, he's 15 years old, and I called him, I wanted to ask him something. I was downstairs, and I wanted him to come down, and he took some time, about 10 minutes or so. When he came down, I said, look, I've been calling you to come down. What are you doing upstairs? He said that I'm playing with my friends. Playing with your friends, I'm sitting down in the sitting room. When did they? I didn't see them pass from here to go upstairs. I said, it's online. We're playing games. Oh, really? So they are learning something. I like them because when they do something, they help me out with some of my technological problems. Setting the date on my cell phone and things like that. But again, we see that there are various ways children learn now. They educate themselves. They speak all these SMS language, which is in some cases is conflicting with other things they should be doing.